Hey there, Overwatch students, Gangster here. If you're tuning in, this will be my first video on my new channel. After seeing the praise on my text guides on the Overwatch University subreddit, I figured I'd go and I'd create some videos to more visually show what I'm talking about in my guides. One of the concepts that people wanted me to focus on, especially, was positioning. So, using the video format, I can explain positioning much easier. So, this is going to be the first video of probably like a 3 or 4 video series where I talk about positioning using different concepts within positioning. This video, for example, will be over angles and high ground. So, angles in Overwatch. Overwatch is a 3D environment. It's an FPS and it's a 3D environment, right? There is a verticality to it. It's not like Doom where you can only look left and right. So because of that, from any one point in the map, you might have multiple places where you can see people from and people can see you from. If I'm attacking on King's Row, I'm using King's Row here because it's a pretty popular map and something, you get a lot of angles people talk about in this map. If I'm attacking this point, if I stand right here, I'm standing right here right by this bus, what can I see from here? I can see up until this corner right here, but I can't see what's around that corner unless I step to my right, right? I can see up to this corner too, but anything past that I can't see. I can see the top of that high ground just over the little spikes there, and I can see over there, and I can see a little bit around this bus, and I can almost see through the bus. I can almost see the health back over there as well if I jump. So from here, I have the angle of anything I can see, but anything that I can see can also see me. If I step forward here, now what can I see? I can see over this way. I can see back toward my own spawn. I can still not see the point, even though I've stepped forward, but I can see more of this statue here. I can see up to this corner, and I can see where the very, end of the statue is. I can see further this way, though. Compared to back here, right? If I walk forward, I can expose a little bit more of this area. I still can't see fully around it, and I can no longer see the health back because I've stepped forward and this wall now blocks it. But I can see this entire area, right? And I can no longer see this high ground either because I'm too close for the wall. If I step even further forward to where I'm in the choke, in the middle of the choke, I can turn left and I can see this health back over here, and I can see these stairs over here. I can also see this whole area still, except for that health back. Again, I've cut myself off from that health back. But I can also see around the side of the bus here, right? So as you walk closer and forward, more and more of the environment will open, but the past places of the environment will close off. If I step fully through the choke, I can no longer see this area over here. I can no longer see this area either, and I can't really see the top of the stairs either, but now I can see the point. I can see kind of down into that room as well as the health pack. And as I walk around, I can now see the whole point. I can see some of the high ground, but I can't see deep in that corner there. I can only see the very edge of the high ground. Notice that? I can also see a little bit into this room. I can see the glow of the health pack, and I can no longer see that staircase at all back there. So being mindful of your positioning and angling while you're walking forward can help to cut off or open angles onto people that you want to see and cut off angles from people that you don't want to see, like snipers, right? You don't want snipers seeing you. So if you're playing Rein, and I'm on Rein for a reason, if you're playing Rein and you're attacking this map, what you don't want to do is have your shield up while you're walking forward and have it consume the entire choke. A lot of Reinhardts like to do this, where they'll hold their shield like this on either side, right? If they're defending, they'll do this. This is no good because it opens up the maximum amount of angles to your shield. If I'm standing here with my shield, right? I'll leave this spray here to remember, right? If I'm standing here with my shield can be seen from here all the way to here, and then from all the way to here, all the way to here. So think about all that distance, right? From back here to the statue, to the other side of the statue, and then to point. You can see my shield, right? If you're standing anywhere in that area. If you're standing on high ground, you can even see over the statue a little bit, and you can see the very tip of my shield. A Hanzo or whatever standing at the top of the high ground there, as they often do, will be able to shoot the very tip of my shield. So what you want to do when you're pushing in, or just defending in general, is you want to limit how much angles your shield can be shot from while opening as many angles to your own DPS. So if I'm standing like this, notice this instead, right? You can now see my shield from the point, but you can't see the far left of my shield. And I can push in like this, and it limits how much my shield can be seen. I can continue pushing to this corner, and I can hold this corner against them. Notice how my shield is stuck into the wall here. Now, instead of standing like this, because if you stand like this, your shield is a lot more open, right? It can be shot from anywhere. Whereas if I move into the wall here, only the right side of my shield can be shot, and people can stand to my right. I can even, help them out a little bit by kind of giving them two walls to move between. And they can stand to my right and shoot, and I can just rotate as they push forward. I don't have to walk as much. If I'm standing here and they push forward, I have to walk all the way onto the point. Whereas if I'm at the corner, I can just spin. And now I'm on the point, right? Very, very little movement. The closer you hug the corner, the tighter you can move around it. And hugging the corner also gives you more room to move into if you need to get out of line of sight of something. Say a Deadeye goes off right over there in that staircase. I can just go, whoop, and I'm out of it. Immediately. Like, I can just be gone. And suddenly he can't shoot. Whereas if I'm here, I have to go, oh shit, there's a Deadeye going off, and walk slowly out of the way, or, even put my shield down and run. I have less time to react to things going badly, and this goes for the same for a DPS too. If you're standing out in the middle here, your distance to cover is very long, and I'll talk about that more later. But with Rein Shield, you don't want to be hanging out in the open because it's not an infinite health shield. When it goes down, you'll just be sitting there with your pants down out in the middle of nowhere with no cover nearby, and then you'll die. So you want to be able to just immediately break line of sight with any point on the map that you might need to. Say there's like a Widow up there. Like, I can go like this, and I'm gone, right? Holding the corner. I'm gone. Whereas if I'm out here, I have to like slowly walk toward the side, and you see how slowly I move with the shield up, right? Same on this side, right? If I'm moving this way, oh, Deadeye. And I'm gone, right? Or Deadeye, and I'm gone. I can hug this side as well. Moving in through this way, and you can funnel your team back into the staircase here and go that way. But think about that when you're pushing as a tank, and if you're defending, it's the same kind of concept. Instead of standing at the choke here, where if your shield breaks, you're just in the middle of nowhere with no real cover and you have to run to the side, why not just hold the shield like this, right? Part of the shield is behind the wall, so it can't be shot, and your DPS still have plenty of angles to shoot from. And if they want to come forward, if they want to push forward to get someone who's like waiting over here, for example, you don't have to like come out into this area in order to shield that side. You can just rotate, and boom, I'm shielding that side, right? I can move around this corner by rotating, and I'm able to shield a lot more angles than if I'm just here, because then I have to walk all the way around, or I have to get close to the corner and hold it that way. Or if I suddenly need to shield that side, I can just do that. Boom, covered, right? Instead of having to come out here like this. Another thing is that you close off more angles if you hold off further. So if I'm back here, for example, I'm closing off the entire choke, as well as the high ground if I look up. If I keep my shield up like this, I'm closing off a lot of the high ground as well from up there, from the snipers that like to be up there. And if they run around this side, if they run around the left side, I can just rotate, and I'm good, right? This is what the pros call rotation. You rotate around with Rein, and your supports follow, and they rotate back here. That's the whole rotation, so that when the enemy team pushes in to the left, I can just rotate, and I'm already good. Instead of, if I'm here, right, if the enemy just books it to my left, they just run past me, right, I can maybe swing on them a little bit, but by then they're already over here, and they're firing upon my supports and team that are waiting back there on the point. They can just run past me, or boot me out of the way, especially with Hammond becoming the new meta. I'm just going to get knocked out of the way over into that corner, and they're just, flying that way. So if I'm holding back here, And again, by a corner, right, either left or right side, I can pull off really easy, and I can hide if there's a Deadeye or something. Or if they run around, I can rotate. And I can also fall back easier if I need to yield space because they're pushing hard. Because there's less distance between here and here to the point, right? I can get back to the point a lot faster, I can get out of line of sight, and I can get back to my healers, which are going to end up back here, because the rotation is to go from this corner back there. So that's angles with Reinhardt's shield, and now what about angles with DPS? Let me go back to spawn and switch heroes. Alright, so for DPS also need to mind angles just as much as tanks do. But the key difference between tanks and supports or DPS or squishies in general is that they have a lot less of a margin for error than tanks do. Because if you hold the wrong angle as a support or a DPS, you'll get sniped and you'll get killed really, really easily. Due to your low health pool, you have to be very careful to make sure that you aren't getting shot at by anything that could really remotely kill you. Taking duels at the correct angle is basically half of how you be good at DPS. It's not all aim. It's also a function of how well you can position yourself to have fights be advantaged in your favor. If you are holding right here, on, for example, on King's Row defense, and your Rein shield is about here, just like I went over in the tank section, you don't want to be right here. You don't want to be at the very edge of the shield, because if the Rein has to rotate, his shield's going to end up here, and you'll be outside in front of it. You want to be beside him, almost behind him, a little bit to his left, to where you can shoot past him without him getting in the way, but then to where if he rotates, you can rotate as well. You can pull around the corner just like he would. And that's important, because if the enemy team is pushing in, and they're going around this left side here, you don't want to get caught in rotation, where the Rein shield is here, supports are back there, and you're here, because then they'll just run you over and you'll die. So, if such a thing happens, where you need to rotate, you want to pull back with the Rein shield, and keep hugging this corner and close off this angle. Say the enemy team is right here. You want to close off this angle as quick as you can. The faster you can get back into cover, the safer you can be. Now, it's important while you're here to think about all the places you can be shot from here. You can be shot from up there, you can be shot from up there. If they've got some kind of flanking Widowmaker or something, you can be shot by people coming through here, which is a big soft flank that people do. Like a McCree will just like run past here and try to flashbang somebody. So keep an eye on it. And, you know, of course, if he does, you can just dive around this corner here, or dive this way, or, you know, evade him. Keep an eye on it, but also keep an eye on the enemy team that's pushing in, and use this to maintain cover. And as they push in, as they continue to try and open the angle, you can just keep closing it. Just keep on closing it until you're evading them completely. Or pull back all the way with your supports. Pull straight back all the way. You can use this for cover. You can come in here and use this for cover. You can just keep pulling back all the way, you know, grab the self back, keep on pulling back, and just keep on closing angles. And you can basically retreat like that forever. You know, you can just kite them away. That's called kiting. You can just kite them away to where they can never actually confirm the kill on you, but you can waste their time and pull their attention. And optimally, as a DPS, you want to require more than one person to take out, require the attention of more than one person. Because if you're requiring, like, a DPS's attention, just one DPS, then that's an even trade. You're doing nothing because you're kiting back and away and trying to run away and hide from him, but he's doing nothing because he's pursuing a target that he's never going to catch, and that's just a trade. You're fighting a 5v5, which is still 50-50. You can never really tell. So the best way to win fights consistently and use kiting to your advantage is to try and pull multiple people. If you can get multiple people, now don't pull too many people, because then if they send a squad after you, then it's really, really hard to deal with that. But if you can require, like, say, a Hanzo and his Pocket Mercy, if you can keep pulling them back, enemy team loses a major DPS and a major healer, while you're just walking away. Just walking away, just keep on closing up them angles as long as you can, you know? Come around here maybe onto this corner, just keep on closing angles and retreating. if you can help it, if you aren't mispositioned, you should die a whole lot less than most people do. Because they, instead of kiting, they'll just be like, oh no, the enemy team is on top of me, and I guess I'll just die here, you know? And that's no good. You can't do that. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, what happens if they end up, you know, fighting me? What if they catch me? So, if you're running away, and you've got a position with cover, they have to push into you. You have defender's advantage. So if you are running from something trying to kill you, and you pull around this corner here, you now have advantage. In order to come around this corner, they have to take this wide open place, and you can immediately start shooting at them, and then re-hide without them being able to really shoot back. If they try to run around the corner, you can helix the ground and track them through the air. And this will vary per hero, you know, if you're Hanzo or whatever, you can drop a Sonic right here and then just be like, waiting for them to come around the corner and then delete them. You can do all sorts of things with different heroes, but you have inherent defender advantage when you're running away. When you're kiting away and not running into their trap, if they're running into yours, you know, you can very easily take them out, much easier than if you're just standing out in open space and it's just a raw aim duel, or kit duel if you're countered, right? And if they don't decide to pursue you, if they are lazy and don't want to chase you down, well then the pressure's off of you. They didn't kill you. You're still alive, right? So you're staying alive, one of the key components, key pillars to being good at the game. You stayed alive, and now you can just come back. But you're not going to come back like this, out into the point and be like, hey, here I am. You don't want to do that, because then they'll just be like, oh, there's the soldier, let's kill him. So what you want to do is when you come back, just practice the same thing, but offensively. You know, keep close, small angles to where you can... and come around the corner correctly. Here's another thing about angles. Crosshair placement. This is something that so many people get wrong. And it's not just DPS, it's literally everyone should be doing this correctly. When you come around a corner, do not come around the corner like this. Don't do that. Or like this. Or like this, coming around the corner looking at the sky. Don't do that either. The proper way to come around a corner in Overwatch is approach the corner with your crosshair at head level, so almost like 0 degrees, head level. Then keep the crosshair close to the corner as you walk around. Imagine if that car right there was a enemy, right? If I'm walking around like this, and I see him, I have to move my crosshair a huge distance, and I have this time where I'm not shooting at them, and that's called the acquisition time of your aim. I have this huge time where I'm not shooting anyone, and I have to flick to him and then start shooting at him. And in that time, he can see me faster, because if he's over here, and there's an enemy right over here, if he's over here, he can immediately see me. If he's watching this corner, he can immediately see me and start shooting at me, but I won't see him until I get my crosshair over to him. So when you're walking around the corner, keep it close to the corner, so as soon as you see him, as soon as he reveals himself to you, you can start shooting at him. And if you know where an enemy might be, like say that there might be an enemy over here and you know that they're going to be there, you can look through the wall, right? You can shoot through the wall, or not shoot through the wall, but shoot like, almost like you're going to shoot through the wall. Look where you're going to shoot first. And you can already have your crosshair there, and it's just a little tiny adjustment to get onto their head, or onto their body, or wherever you want to shoot them. Instead of coming around the corner wide like this and being like, oh, there's an enemy, and having to quickly get your aim on track, you can just have it on track as you walk around. And the time to acquire is much shorter. Like that, see? Because my crosshair never left near the corner. Shouldn't be on the corner, because then you have to do the reverse. You have to flick off of the corner to the person. But have it near the corner, so you can immediately start shooting at things that are around the corner. And just keep doing that as you keep walking around the corner. So then what about positioning with supports? So this is another one that I have people ask often about. So positioning with supports is similar to DPS, except depending on the support that you're playing, you'll either never want to see the enemy team, or only some of the enemy team. But you'll always want to see your whole of your team. So when you're positioning as like Zen, we'll use Zen here because he's like the most positioning reliant support in the game, because he has no mobility. The key to positioning with Zen is to have just enough angle of the enemy team where you can provide supportive fire, but not so much that you can be shot by anyone who might want to shoot at you. This is really important with like snipers or anything like that, because Zen is like ultra easy to headshot, and he's like a free pick if he's peeking too much, right? So the trick with Zen, and you can stand in multiple different places on this first point here. You can stand back here once your team has rotated to here and they're fighting on the point. You can stand back here, and of course don't stand here, right? Stand over here where you can break line of sight, because if a Widowmaker shows up there and you're standing right here, there's no cover that you can immediately go for that will break that. You want to be over here so that the Widowmaker can't see you, and you can fire through this little angle. And you can just keep denying that Widowmaker any sort of sight line, right, by doing that, while still able to heal your team. If you're playing a long-range healer like Zenyatta or Ana or Baptiste, you don't want to be peeking more people than you have to, and you should be farther away than the rest of your team. You should be in the very, very far back line so that you're able to heal from range without putting yourself in danger. Now, standing too far back is an issue too, because then flankers will come for you and you'll be isolated. So find a spot where you can see your tanks and you can see your DPS to heal them, but you're not exposed yourself, and you're close enough to where people can peel for you and protect you. Now, in lower ranks, where people aren't going to protect you as much, the key thing is to be able to protect yourself as easily as possible. So if you have a flanker that's coming for you, you want to position yourself near some kind of health pack, either that one there, or perhaps back here. Now this is why supports tend to rotate back here, is because there's a health pack right here, right? You can stand back here as Zen, or you can stand in here, and you have sight lines of nearly the whole point, and you can fire. Now here's a neat thing about Zenyatta that a lot of people don't notice, and about projectiles in general. You remember my earlier section, I showed you how you can shoot right next to walls and it won't hit the wall unless your crosshair is on the wall. This applies for projectiles too. Now you'd think with how big his projectiles are that they would be hitting the wall, right? They look about yay big. But they won't. As long as your crosshair is just a pixel off of the wall, you'll never actually hit it. Now as soon as you are on the wall, you'll hit it. See there? I'm on the wall. So you can take super tight angles with Zen, for example, to do right clicks, and you can just send right clicks. Like, look where I shot that. I shot that all the way to the pillar there, across the whole point. And how much can they see of me? If I'm all the way back here, how much can they see? Very little, right? They can only see through this window here. If I'm back here, I can shoot all the way to the statue. See that? If I'm up here, I can shoot all the way up through that window, into the skybox. I can shoot down a fair through there, perhaps. As if. But, it's key to know, like, angles with supports, especially with long-range supports, because they have the ability to weave their shots through tiny little angles to heal their team. And with Zen's orbs, his main way of healing, you only need line of sight of somebody every 3 seconds, and it doesn't matter for how long. Even if you just peek them a tiny little bit for like a split second, it will refresh the timer for the orb expiration. So all you have to do is just once in a while peek out. If you have like someone being healed right here, you could just peek every once in a while just to check, you know, get the orb refreshed. So try to find a position where you have a retreat to some kind of health pack so you can help yourself, right? Because if you can't rely on your team, you have to help yourself, right? Find a position where you have a small angle that you can heal through. Now if you're Ana, for example, let me get back to get Ana.
Experience tranquility.
If you are Ana, the same concept applies because you're a long-range hero. So you can do the same thing with Ana. It's even better with Ana because you have hit scan. So you have even easier of a time healing through tiny little places, because as soon as someone crosses your line of sight, you can hit them. I do this all the time with Genjis whenever I play Ana. Genjis will like jump, they'll double jump and they'll peek above some kind of wall, and I can just get a shot on them. And just one shot. That's all you really need to heal flankers. It's just once in a while, hit him with a shot. Because that 75 health means a whole lot more to a flanker than it does to a tank. because flankers are evasive. That 75 health might last them a long time. And if you can just hit them once in a while with that, you know, really, really simple little action can save them very often. And it only requires just a little tiny peeking line of sight. You know, say there's a flanker over on the stairs. I could just go like that, and boom, he's good. And I'm never in any actual danger, right? I can rotate back here. I can heal my tank who's retreating. Just through this little tiny slip here. Real easy, right? And I have a way to break line of sight. If a Widowmaker shows up here, and I'm here, I'm already near cover. So I can just be like, yo, I'm over here. And she can do nothing. She can do nothing. She cannot shoot me, right? Flanker what's to come for me? Well, they have to come through one of two places, right? Just here and here. So I can either see them coming here, or I can hear them coming here. So that's why it's important to get a headset and listen. Plus, if I'm doing it correctly, I should also be just checking. So I'm healing through like here, you know, I see like, oop. Right? I can heal myself with that. You know, there's no health pack immediately near here unless it's around the corner. So I personally like to hold in like here as Ana. So just looking for positions like that to help yourself and make it easy for you to survive can really have a huge impact on games, because if you can reliably keep yourself alive, you can reliably keep your teammates alive, and that's how you win games as support. That's how you carry as support, is by being alive when it matters, when the actual healing is actually needed. Because if you aren't alive when you're needed, people die, and then you lose games, and everything, you know, everything is terrible, and then you rage at your team wondering why you aren't winning games. A key thing is to just be alive more. I swear, like, you can get into plat just by being alive more, and then once you hit plat as a support main, then you actually have to start getting good. But just staying alive often enough will get you into plat, I can assure you. Like, your aim has to be somewhat okay, unless you're playing like Moira or something, but just stay alive, and that will get you to pretty decently high ranks, because so many people do not understand this concept, because they've never played an FPS that really punishes it, right? Like, it's possible in Overwatch to kind of stay out in the open for a while, right? And that's why so many people get stuck in low ranks, is because they hit a rank where that starts to get punished, and they don't know how to deal with it. They just die, and they think, oh, that's a Smurf Widow or whatever, when the Widow is just taking the easiest shot ever on an Ana that's standing still in the middle of nowhere with no cover, right? If you're using angle and positioning carefully, you won't have to worry about people having really good aim on you, because they can't hit what they can't see, right? And that concludes the video. If you've enjoyed, leave a like and a comment below, and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this. If you also have any suggestions for my setup or way of recording, my editing, anything like that, since I'm new to this, I would greatly appreciate that as well. If you've learned something, also be sure to share with your friends if you'd like them to learn things too. And thank you for watching.